Welcome to Your Marriage Matterz with Jim and Christy Jacobus. This podcast is dedicated to couples that want to get the most out of this crazy thing we call marriage. Each episode is designed to guide us in a fun and exciting way through the skills, strategies, tactics, and mindset we need to build a compelling life together. Our goal is for all of us to create the vibrant and healthy marriages we all dreamed of when we said I do. Welcome to Your Marriage Matterz with Jim and Christy Jacobus.
Well, hey there, folks. It's Jim.
And Christy.
Jacobus, otherwise known as
Team Jacobus.
And welcome back, babe.
It has been an interesting time away.
It has been. And for those of you out there who may not know, we recently went through a pretty serious health scare, babe.
It was started off with just clearance for orthopedic surgery, and
Right.
It turned into something which concluded with 8 days in an ICU.
Yeah, folks, if you have not heard, I was getting cleared to get a knee replacement done. And matter of fact, I'd gone through the last step. I was all set to go, a week away from doing it. And then 2 days later, long story short, I have what's called an IVC filter that blocks clots from going from my lower extremities to my heart, lungs, and brain, which I had put in back in 2006 because of pulmonary embolisms from flying and everything. And that bad boy got blocked up, babe. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's
Is that a medical term?
assessment.
It got all blocked up. And I was blood clots from my waist down. And it took us about 8 days in ICU to get it all cleaned up. The good news is I'm healthy. I've got one more procedure. Matter of fact, the day that this podcast drops, I've got one last procedure. They're going to go in and take that IVC filter out. And there's nothing moving forward that's going to preclude me from healthiness and a good life and all of that stuff. So, it was kind of scary.
It was. But as with most events, it gave us a good opportunity to really revisit what's our priorities and what matters most. Because
Absolutely.
When you have scares like that, it can be something that shakes up, your patterns of life. And we apologize for not doing the podcast for the month of August, but it gave us a good time to reflect on what matters. And of course, one of the things that I know we took for granted is just good health.
Right.
And when you get confronted with something like this, it does help you to reset some of your priorities. One of the things that we also want to be so incredibly thankful for are the people who surrounded us with good thoughts and prayers, people who came to visit you in the hospital, people who brought food over.
Oh, yeah, brought the food over.
Yes, and all the folks who reached out to us to just be there for us in a very difficult time, because it was very scary. It was a time where, as we were walking through it, you just had to put one foot in front of the other. And there's something that I've heard before: pray when the words can't come. And also be grateful and express gratitude when words aren't enough.
Right.
So for everybody out there who was helpful and brought over, just anything to help us when we didn't even know what we needed. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, but one of the things I thought about that was, we have our close friends and family who were, like there right away, and we're so thankful for that. Our Sunday school class, our community of friends that we have, literally in so many different areas of our life, the people that you work with, just came out. But our podcast community, people that from all over the world that we haven't even had the chance to ever meet face to face, they were jumping in there and text messaging. So, gang, we really look back on this. In the middle of it, it sucked. It wasn't much fun at all. But we were so thankful and so blessed, and we want to make sure we say thank you to all of you who were so kind and so generous to us during that time. And so, babe, what I think we should do today, we've spent some time talking about where we want to go with the podcast and everything. Events like this cause you to stop and think. And one of the things that dawned on me, and I think dawned on us together, is that we're really blessed to do this work that we do. And, gang, please take this the way we're trying to say it. We want to do more. Now, it's not like you and I feel like we're not doing enough. It's just that in our life moving forward, of the things we feel like are more important, you kind of start categorizing what's important, what's not. We believe this work is important, and so we want to do more of it. And so we've got a few things that we want to change about the podcast, and we're going to share some stuff with you that we're going to do moving forward as well. So,
and one of the things that we looked at is the past 6 months, where we've been, and also it gave us a good opportunity to look at where we want to go. One of the things we came up with is the podcasts are going to be shorter.
Right.
They're going to be shorter because there's just a lot of information that we want to share. But sometimes we realize that that's a long podcast to listen to. So we're going to be intentional about making the podcast a shorter version. But with that, we're going to add some other things that we think might be more beneficial.
Yeah, and I know one of those things that we're going to do, you're not all that excited about yet, but I think you're going to enjoy it. And folks, I know you guys are going to love it. We're going to do a lot more video.
Right.
We're going to take advantage of the wonderful tool of Facebook to do more Facebook Lives. I'll be doing some primarily for men. We'll be doing some together for couples and everything. And we've got a great title for it. It's going to be called Take 10. And those are going to be very directed, very focused. Matter of fact, Take 10 comes from being intentional. And so we'll be doing a lot of those. Christy,
I might even jump in and do a video or two myself.
And so you guys pray for that, all right? Pray that Christy will jump in there and do some videos. And one of the back to the podcast thing, we're going to stop doing the listener question of the week as part of the podcast as a way to shorten it. But we'll be doing some listener questions of the week when we got some great stuff coming up that we'll do with video. And I may answer it by myself, and Christy may answer it by herself, God willing, and everything. And then we'll be answering some of those questions together on our Take 10s. And then we may just be doing some fun videos as well. I mean, we're going to take advantage of all of that, which also is going to lead us to taking more advantage of Facebook. We are both big parts of Facebook groups where there's just tons of great information coming out. Like our local Greatwood closed group, the amount of information that comes out of there is amazing about crime in the area,
referrals, opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, Facebook is a wonderful tool for communication and collaboration. And that's where I've gone and gotten eye doctors and dermatologists and different things. So I
recipes.
And recipes, yes, of course.
And so we want to make sure that we create a Facebook presence that isn't just about us pushing out information, but it's about you guys sharing information with each other, crowdsourcing, what do you do when, answering questions, asking questions, celebrating wins, all of those kinds of things. We want the Facebook group to become a much more active resource for people above and beyond the podcast and the videos and all that kind of stuff as well. And we're going to kind of finish building out our website that we have for Your Marriage Matterz and let that become a resource as well. So those are some of the things that we have in mind there as far as just the podcast is concerned.
And one of the things I'm really interested to do is more interviews. We have tons of resources in family or colleagues or experts who can share their insight with our community about things like family and marriage and parenting and finances. So I'd like to pull on those resources and expand the knowledge base that we're using by using interview format. Right. So that's one of the things I'm very excited about.
I'm looking forward to those too, because like you said, I mean, we know some of the brightest people on the planet in areas, that we have expertise in, but they have expertise as well. And, one of the things I love about those interviews is that you and I always learn something from them as well.
Exactly.
And so we're really excited about those. And by the way, if you've got somebody out there you think's an expert on something in marriage that you've learned a lot from, let us know who they are. And we'll be glad to reach out to them and see if we can't get them on the podcast show as well. We are certainly open to any of those kinds of resources that you might have available to help make the podcast grow. So beyond the podcast, babe, and I think, again, this is that part where we're doing what we're doing, but we want to do more. And we've got some fun ideas about what we're going to do that go beyond the podcast.
Right. One of the things that I've always enjoyed doing is the retreats. I have said for months, ever since Harvey devastated the Rockport area, I'd love to go back there and do a retreat to not just energize the people who will be at the retreat, but give an economic boost to the coastal bend. So retreats of all kinds, retreats for first responders, retreats for just marriage in general. So
law enforcement officers, we're already looking at doing one for LEOs and first responders, which was really exciting as well. And in the past, babe, we've traveled to Dallas to do retreats for churches and things like that. So we're going to become more proactive in creating our own retreats, as well as finding churches and organizations out there that we can do retreats for. As a matter of fact, we've done some marriage work for Keller Williams, which is the real estate company that I work for. And it's actually called the Business of Marriage, and it's a very popular retreat. So if you want to bring a marriage retreat to your workplace, then we're certainly open for that as well. Beyond the retreats, we also want to create more courses, online courses, delivered by email, delivered by video, delivered by all different kinds of ways out there. We just came off of the class that we did at Sugar Creek Baptist Church in Missouri City, 6-week class on building your marriage. And it caused us to realize we have these resources within us that Christy and I love doing, and we want to find more and more and more ways to reach out to people and make those things available.
And one of the things that we're going to have to do is books. We have several books that have in various stages of completion, and we just have to get those done. And that's going to be one of the things that we're going to hold each other accountable to, is completion of a book by the end of this year.
Yeah, and you guys, we're going to let you guys hold us accountable as well. I mean, we literally, babe, I think we listed like 10 books that we want to write. We have one book called 101 Questions Every Couple Ought to Ask Themselves Before They Get Married, or 101 Conversations Every Couple Ought to Have Before They Get Married. I mean, it's basically done. We just need to finish editing it. And then we have several books like that that we want to follow up with. 101 Conversations Every Couple Ought to Have First Year Marriage, Before They Get Remarried. We don't want any of you getting remarried out there, okay? But if you aren't married now, and you've gone through a divorce before you get remarried, and then you want to write some books for women, I want to write some books for men, and you and I want to write some books together just for couples as well. So, gang, there's a lot of stuff there. Shorten the podcast, use Facebook more, use video more, take advantage of all of those kinds of resources that are available to us out there. Get the books written.
Interview some experts.
Interview a lot of experts that we know. Online courses and things like that. So one, we could use your prayers because that's a lot of work, but we're excited about it. And two, again, just we wanted to say thank you. With all that we've been through, it's been tough, But I will say this, maybe we were talking about it the other day. You and I have gotten even closer in all of this, and I'm going to say this on the podcast here. Christy gets embarrassed when I say this, but Christy has long been very proud of what she does and who she does it with. And for 8 days, I'm in the ICU at the hospital Christy works at. And first thing is, babe, I have just a huge, huge, better appreciation for how amazing you are as a professional, because you were wife, you were nurse, and you were employee during all of those 8 days, trying to mix all those roles up. And from a nursing standpoint, you were phenomenal. As a wife, you were everything that I know you are. And as an employer, professional, you were phenomenal. And the people that you work with, I mean, I say this, I don't remember a single person that came into contact with it wasn't amazing. So for all of the people at Memorial Hermann Sugarland, all of the doctors, the EMTs, that picked me up here at Station 6 and picked me up and took me that morning in the ambulance. They were phenomenal as well. Thank you guys. And then again, babe, one last time for all of you who were there for us during this very difficult time. I just want to say thank you.
Yes, indeed. It was a time of a great amount of stress, but still it's during those times of stress that we realize how much you appreciate the connection you have with community. So on behalf of us, thank you so much.
Babe, we got a lot of work to do.
We sure do.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Your Marriage Matters with Jim and Christy Jacobus. We hoped it encouraged you in your journey key to building a vibrant and healthy marriage. Before you go, we'd like to ask you a favor. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with others so they can join us on the journey. We would really appreciate it. We will see you next week on Your Marriage Matters.